Hey, my name is Trey J, and now that it's 2025, I'm about a year into my comic book reading journey. And so now I want to give y'all a top 10 list of my favorite single issue series that I've read this year. The rules are simple. As long as it came out last year as a single issue and is part of the series, and as long as I read it too, it can be in my list. I'll also be showing off my favorite covers that I picked up from each of these series too. Without further ado, let's get into it. Number 10 is Ultimate Spider-Man. The book of the year. Jonathan Hickman is crafting some exceptional Spidey wish fulfillment, and Marco Checchetto dispenses the visual candy. It's still exciting to see a grown-up Peter even 1 year in. I mean, everyone hypes up MJ's looks, but Peter's a stud too. But seriously, I love Spider-Man stories that deal with the interpersonal issues of superheroing, and seeing this Peter holding responsibility because of his failing in relationships before making the choice to wield power has been very interesting to watch. A few months ago, I shared in a video that I was distracted by the series' referencing of Spider-Man lore, like the Sinister Six and Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane's lack of perspective, and missing out on seeing Pete be a crime fighter. But these last two issues in particular basically address those issues head on, and the series certainly has merits that shouldn't go discredited. While realistic artwork is not the be-all end-all, Checchetto's style is always a joy. Moreover, Hickman's dialogue is snappy and heartfelt, and the highlight of the series has been the relationship between Peter and Harry. Since those two met, fans have anticipated it was only a matter of time until a climactic confrontation, and I admire the patience that Hickman displays. It truly feels like a pot simmering to a boil. For anyone fiending for more Spider-Man content, reading the new Ultimate series is certainly the way to go. And it's important to add that issue 1 is the book that sent me walking into my local comic book shop for the first time. And when I heard that they were already sold out and then they didn't receive the second printing, I inevitably ended up having to drive about an hour to grab a third printing from a different comic book shop. Honestly, the worst part of that story is that now those two shops are both closed down, and it sucks that this era of comics, the only one that I've been a part of, is so centered around how the medium is struggling. But with the sales and notoriety of this series, maybe Ultimate Spider-Man will help more people hop into the medium. Number 9 is Saga. Some long-term fans are burnt out on the delay, and honestly, after the absolute apeshit midpoint twist and the subsequent 4-year wait for another installment, I would be mad too. But as someone who only hopped on in 2024, I've been vibing and I'm very excited to be a part of this journey. The story is in a state of setup, adding to the struggle of discussing what's going on. The main family is now part of a circus, so there's plenty of new faces with questionable intentions, and everyone else seems to be reeling from just how miserable of hands they've been dealt, often struggling to realize they've gambled away some of their best cards themselves. Slipping back to the issues that came out this year, I am recognizing that I've casually forgotten we've seen some old characters re-emerge and form alliances that will ripple down the line. That huge ensemble cast is the hardest part for me to follow, as key players will disappear for issues at a time. Nothing as crazy as Brand, but when we don't get a previously on Saga, I get the struggle. But it's also the appeal. I love how these wild characters, settings, and politics weave together to create this epic narrative of love, the creation of ideas, and the stupidity of war. I've fallen in love with so many of these characters like a darn fool, cause Brian K. Vaughan is a ruthless murderer. He and co-creator Fiona Staples build such an enchanting world to visit that I long to see a wrap-up, but know that when it does, I will be in shambles. Number 8. Zatana, bring the house down. Javier Rodriguez deserves his flowers pulled out of a top hat for the artistry in this book. The cartoony charm and intricately detailed panel layouts work in tandem, lending to whole pages feeling like standalone art pieces. I like that Zatana seems to be drawn as being of East Asian descent, similar to writer Mariko Tamaki. The book is an origin story for Zatana, who refuses to use her magical gifts after a traumatic incident in her youth. Numerous magical figures, new and familiar, pop up to give Zatana the encouragement she needs to recognize her full potential. It's really a joyous read that uses the medium of comic books very, very well. Number 7. Ultimate X-Men. Peach Momoko's culturally rich take on mutants is the most personal feeling book on my pull list. I love the lexicon at the end that teaches us about Japanese traditions and holidays. Moreover, the exploration of mental health challenges resonates with me. Though my one complaint is that I would appreciate a trigger warning for issues that actually showed characters committing acts of self-harm. This is a tangent, but honestly, the book that executed trigger warnings the best was Ice Cream Man, dedicating a whole page to it before opening the story. And another one of my favorites this year, Tin Can Society, there's a graphic image when you open the book, and on the inside cover is the trigger warning, which is a little disappointing in its presentation. I understand potential cost constraints can affect stuff like that, but I think protection of the audience should come as a priority. But back to X-Men, I love these scrappy teens dealing with problems far too grand than they deserve, because this is not a book that focuses on struggle, but finding power in messy rebellion. As Momoko is the artist and writer, the book has specificity in its pacing unlike many others. People have called it manga-like and a slow burn, and while I agree with elements of these takes, all I can say is that it feels honest and intimate. Number 6. Absolute Batman. The second book this year to rock the book in the comic industry. Despite being only 3 issues in, the hell yeah energy of this series has been irresistible. I get the complaints about bat axes, building size Batmobiles, and Batman AF, but it just works for me. What most intrigues me is the execution of the premise of a Bruce Wayne without the wealth. Scott Snyder's depiction of a Bruce as a civil servant, embedding himself within community projects to not only build and learn about the city, but repair damages done after crime fighting, is very clever restructuring of Bruce's character. And Nick Dragotta's art really harkens to the best parts of Frank Miller's work on DKR, with dense page layouts and stunning splash pages. Not to mention the fluidity within his action scenes is both sick and brutal. I anxiously look forward to how all the other Batman connectors are going to come into play and all the new twists that this creative team will take on this character. Since we're now at the halfway point of my list, if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with everything else that I'm going to be posting. It's not going to be just comics on here. I'm going to be talking about movies, video games, basically anything that's about narratives and is nerdy. I would also greatly appreciate a like and a comment about any of these books that you've checked out or interested in, or definitely suggestions of things that you think I might like that's based off of these books. Number 5, Rook Exodus. Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok constructed the most fully fleshed out world I discovered in this year's comics. As Earth reaches the end of its agricultural viability, humans relocate to a new terraformed engine-ran planet named Exodus, and the assigned leaders of the planet, Wardens, wear helmets that allow them to control a species of animal. When the engine powering the Wardens falls into the wrong hands, the elite that established the planet leave the Wardens behind to fend for themselves. These grand sci-fi stakes are made intimate through the perspective of Rook, Warden of Crows, who is broken from the loss of now 2 planets and people very near to him. Rook Exodus is the classic hero's journey with a fun conceit, controlling animals with helmets. As long as Johns and Fabok keep bringing the heat, I'm sure this series is going to be a comics classic. Number 4, Uncanny XMen. I'm a sucker for found family narratives. Stranger Things, Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Last of Us, and the Uncanny X-Men delivers on all cylinders. I only tasted the 3 premiere from the Ashes series, the mainline X-Men, Uncanny, and Exceptional. My wallet can only handle so much trauma. But this is the series that stuck with me the most and continues to hit with each issue. This X-Men team was graced with the most heavy hitters: Rogue, Gambit, Jubilee, Nightcrawler, and Wolverine. And the new heroes have warmed their way into my heart already. Calico has been given the most characterization during this escape from Grey Malkin prison art, which has been very heartwarming. Jitters has cool powers, and I like the writing to express her stutter, despite it being confusing at times. Ransom is a smooth brother, and though Daydream is an oddball, I probably am the most similar to him in mannerisms and thoughts. I keep good appearances. I guess that maybe makes me more like Rogue in this, but never mind. The way Gail Simone fuses family moments and action is unparalleled, and although he's still delivering us some covers, David Marquez's art will be missed in these upcoming issues. Number 3, Miles Morales' Spider-Man. Although I've joined the troop of comic readers who suggest jumping into a series wherever, at least if they're from the big 2, I've always been kind of a stickler for continuity and understanding as many nuances and references as possible. And admittedly, hearing about the Lightning Sword, then Miles' increased relationship with black characters like Black Panther, Misty Knight, and Storm, then the anime references really piqued my interest. But because of my clearly addictive spending habits, it seemed most cost-effective to catch up on this series in collected editions. Then came Blood Hunt, and it just felt like I was missing the culture. Miles Morales is a vampire now. Yep, that kind of vampire. And it's akin to a black suit era, with Miles being tested to control his emotions and bloodlust. And since hopping into the book, I have not been disappointed, and all of those elements have just been amped up to the max. I miss Vicente on art already, but since I've yet to read the run prior to Blood Hunt, I have plenty to enjoy in the future. I'm excited for wherever Cody Ziegler decides to take this journey. Number 2, The Ultimates. Dennis Camp is not here to play. The clock ticks ever closer to the Maker exiting from his 1,000 years preparation time. And where we're standing right now, it does not seem like the Avengers, the Ultimates, are ready for the battle. I mean, it seems like they're a little crushed. If you know, you know. But with each issue reconstructing the superhero experience against political pressure points, I think this is going to be a story of strength. But that's the optimist in me. It definitely seems like one character is going to go through some drastic changes, which may spell dark times. But I love Camp's use of various story structures to create different tones and messages while always presenting epic stakes. Issue 4's structure of 4 panels with 4 simultaneous timelines that can also be read linearly to express Doom's attempts to build the Fantastic Four was rightfully the talk of the town for a while. It really felt like a writer flexing their abilities. I've heard folks don't really care for Gary on art, and maybe it's because I'm still green to the medium, but the simple look lends to the main narrative feel of the book. It's also probably helped in part by the vibrant colors that Federico Blee brings. The stakes keep rising in the Ultimates, and I can't wait for the epic finale. This is pretty close to beating my number 1, but this next one just hits on every level, every time. And my final pick, my favorite book of 2024, was number 1, Wonder Woman. Speaking of relevant current events, on the weeks this book drops, it is always one of the first that I read. I often see discussions of this series qualified with explanations of how it's woke and that Tom King's style isn't for everyone. And I feel that I'm doing a disservice by breaking all that up. But for some reason it feels kind of remiss to not to. Everything that I've heard that people dislike from this series is what captures me. The ongoing narration from the underground king of America, the Sovereign, talking to Wonder Woman's daughter in the future, I see as a vehicle for a male author to tackle sexism with tact and self-awareness. Sexism in America, which is unbelievably still a discounted struggle, feels like theming perfect for a warrior born from an island of all women. It's been interesting watching the Sovereign's different tactics to try to dismantle Wonder Woman's core pillars, but it is always a joy to see her rise above, despite the consequences that she and those close to her face. And Wonder Woman's catchphrase of "no thank you" reverberates as a polite form of strength, a phrase taken upon by many, especially marginalized individuals, to show submission, but is almost always spoken with defiance and confidence by Diana. And Daniel Sampere illustrates a stunning, empowered Wonder Woman who commands every page she graces. As we reach the finale of Diana's battle with the Sovereign, I get more and more excited about what the future will bring. The duo of King and Sampere craft an excellently structured comic where no panel feels wasted. The series really showcases what it means to be a superhero. And these are my top 10 books of 2025. There is so much that I read and enjoyed this year. Honestly, getting into comics was the highlight of this year for me. And I'm really grateful for everyone who has checked out my channel so far. I have over 1,000 views on one of my videos, which is awesome. And I have almost 100 subscribers, which is really exciting. Again, if you guys enjoyed this video and want to keep up with me, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on another post. And if you want to be extra helpful, please give me a like and a comment. Anywho, I love you, friend. This is Trey J, signing off.